Let's be completely honest with each other right now. You are bored. Not just in this specific moment, but fundamentally, constantly bored with your entire life. You have a supercomputer sitting in your pocket that holds literally all the entertainment, knowledge, and connection in human history, and yet, you sit on the edge of your bed, endlessly swiping, feeling absolutely nothing. Think about how you watch a movie nowadays. 10 years ago, you would sit down, look at the screen, and just watch the movie. Now, you put a movie on your TV, and 5 minutes later, you are looking at your phone. You are dual screening. You need a video game, a podcast, and a TikTok feed running simultaneously just to keep your brain from screaming in agony. You have hundreds of games in your library, but you just stare at the menu screen for 20 minutes, completely paralyzed. You desperately want to work on your goals. You want to build the business, you want to get in shape, you want to learn the skill. But the very second you sit down at your desk, your brain physically rejects the effort. It feels like trying to run through waist-deep mud. Why does everything feel so incredibly dull? Why does the idea of reading 10 pages of a book feel like actual torture? Look, you aren't lazy, and you aren't broken. You are just chemically numb. Welcome to the baseline. To understand why you cannot focus on a single, boring task for more than 5 minutes, you need to deeply understand the invisible currency running your brain: dopamine. Most people completely misunderstand what dopamine actually is. They think dopamine is the happiness chemical. They think it's the reward you get when you eat a piece of cake or win a game. It's not. Dopamine is not the chemical of pleasure. It is the chemical of desire. It is the molecule of pursuit. It is the biological drive that makes you want to take action in the first place. Thousands of years ago, when your ancestors saw a fruit tree a mile away in the distance, dopamine spiked in their brains. That spike wasn't a reward. It was the fuel required to make them walk that incredibly difficult mile to go get the food. Dopamine is the reason humans built cities, crossed oceans, and went to the moon. It is the ultimate driving force of human ambition. But here is the massive, fatal flaw in our modern world. Your brain was designed to drip-feed dopamine slowly for incredibly difficult survival tasks. It was built to reward you for weeks of hunting or months of farming. It was never, ever built to handle a fire hose. Think about what you did this exact morning. You woke up, and before your feet even hit the floor, before you even drank a glass of water, you reached for your phone. In the first 10 seconds of your day, you blasted your fragile brain with high-definition videos, bright flashing colors, highly engineered notifications, and endless novelty. You started your entire day at a level 100 on the stimulation scale. So, an hour later, when you finally put the phone down and try to do the thing you actually need to do, like study or edit a video or write a script, your brain goes into absolute shock. Real, meaningful life is a level 10 on the stimulation scale. And when your brain is used to level 100, level 10 feels like absolute, agonizing misery. Your brain literally looks at the real world, does the math, and says, "Why on earth would I spend 2 hours doing hard, boring work for a tiny, microscopic drop of dopamine when I can just reach into my pocket and get a massive, unearned flood of it for completely free?" You haven't lost your ambition. You haven't lost your drive. You have just completely, thoroughly fried your baseline. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, "Okay, I get it. I just lack discipline. I'm just weak. I need to be better." Stop. Stop blaming yourself for a second and understand what you are actually fighting against. You are not fighting a simple lack of willpower. You are fighting a war. And the enemy is a 1,000-person engineering team sitting in a billion-dollar tech campus whose literal full-time job is to figure out how to keep your eyes glued to a piece of glowing glass for as many hours of the day as humanly possible. You are a casualty of the attention economy. In this economy, your focus is the product. Think about the infinite scroll. Have you ever wondered why social media platforms took away the next page button? It's because stopping to click Next Page gives your brain a fraction of a second to wake up and say, "Wait, how long have I been doing this?" By making the scroll infinite, they removed the brakes from your mind. Think about the red notification dot. Why is it always red? Because in evolutionary biology, red signals danger. It signals urgency. It forces your eyes to look at it. They didn't build these platforms to be useful tools for your life. They built them to be digital slot machines. In the 1950s, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner ran an experiment with rats. He put a rat in a box with a lever. When the rat pressed the lever, it got a piece of food. The rat learned the system, pressed the lever when it was hungry, and went to sleep. But then, Skinner changed the rules. He introduced something called variable rewards. This time, when the rat pressed the lever, sometimes it got food, and sometimes it got absolutely nothing. The reward was completely random. Do you know what the rat did? It lost its mind. It stopped sleeping. It stopped doing anything else. It just stood there, frantically pressing the lever over and over and over again, completely addicted to the unpredictability. Look at your hand right now. Look at your phone. Every single time you pull down your screen to refresh your feed, you are a rat pulling the lever on a slot machine. Sometimes you get nothing. Sometimes you get a mildly funny video. Sometimes you get a message from a friend. Sometimes you get an outrage-inducing piece of news that makes your blood boil. That exact unpredictability, that random variable reward, is the single most addictive psychological hook in the history of the human race. They hijacked your dopamine system. They took the chemical that was supposed to make you build, create, learn, and conquer the world, and they rerouted it. They weaponized your own biology against you to make you scroll, consume, click ads, and sit completely still while your actual life passes you by. You aren't just distracted, you are being systematically farmed for your attention. So, how do you break the code? How do you escape the box, take your brain back, and actually start living up to your potential? You have to starve the monster. You have to endure the detox. Look, if you want to reset your baseline and get your ambition back, you cannot do it by just telling yourself you'll try to use your phone a little less today. That is a lie. That is like a pack-a-day smoker saying they will only smoke on alternate Tuesdays. It does not work. You cannot negotiate with an addiction. You need a hard reset. I am talking about a full, uncompromising protocol. No short-form content, no endless scrolling, no video games, no junk food, no artificial spikes of cheap, unearned dopamine. You need a period of absolute, unfiltered boredom. And let me warn you right now, the detox is going to be absolute hell. Let's walk through exactly what is going to happen to you. Day 1 is the panic phase. Your brain is going to freak out. It is going to scream at you. You will sit down in your room, staring at a blank wall, and your hands will literally twitch. You will feel phantom vibrations in your pocket, swearing you got a text message when your phone is entirely turned off. You will feel an intense, suffocating wave of anxiety. You will feel restless. Your brain will try to convince you that by not checking your feeds, you are missing out on something massive. It will tell you that you need to check your email just in case there's an emergency. It will lie to you. Day 2 is the void. The panic fades, and it is replaced by a crushing, heavy sense of emptiness. Because you have removed the artificial noise, you are finally going to be left alone with your own thoughts. And for most people, that is a terrifying place to be. You will realize how much you have been using cheap dopamine to run away from your real problems, your real insecurities, and your real responsibilities. Let it hurt. Do not run from the void. That anxiety, that physical discomfort, that is the feeling of the artificial baseline collapsing. That is the feeling of the poison leaving your system. That is the feeling of your brain finally waking up from a decade-long coma. You have to sit with the boredom. You have to let the silence surround you. You have to endure the quiet until the chaotic noise in your head finally starts to fade away. You have to remember how to be a human being again. If you can survive the detox, if you can push through the grueling withdrawal, sit in the quiet, and refuse to pull the lever on the slot machine. Something miraculous happens on the other side. Your dopamine receptors finally reset. The fog lifts. The heavy mud you have been walking through completely evaporates. Suddenly, the world changes. A 20-minute walk outside without your headphones suddenly feels incredibly peaceful. Sitting down at a desk to read 10 pages of a physical book actually holds your undivided attention. And most importantly, working on that business idea, or writing that script, or putting in the hours at the gym suddenly doesn't feel like mental torture anymore. It actually feels rewarding. Because you deliberately lowered your stimulation baseline, the real world is finally colorful again. You took the ultimate cheat code away from your brain. You stopped giving it free, unearned rewards. And because it still craves dopamine, it has to go back to doing what it was evolved to do: finding joy, satisfaction, and meaning in doing difficult things. The friction between your intention and your action disappears. When you say you are going to work for an hour, you actually sit down and work for an hour, without checking your phone 50 times. But listen to me very closely. The reset is only the beginning. Once you get your baseline back, you have to protect it with your life. You cannot go back to your old environment and expect a different result. You have to build walls around your attention. You have to delete the apps that farm you. You have to turn your phone completely grayscale. You have to leave your devices in another room when you sleep. You must treat your focus like the most valuable asset you own, because it is literally the only thing that dictates your future. You took your processing power back from the algorithms. You force-closed the infinite tabs draining your mental battery. Now, you have a choice. You can click away from this video, open up another tab, go back to the infinite scroll, and willingly hand your dreams, your ambition, and your future right back to a billionaire's algorithm. Or, you can put the screen down. You can embrace the quiet. You can reclaim your drive. And you can finally get to work.